Hi everyone, my name is Gioia. I'm a PhD student at the Department of Infectious Diseases and Hospital Epidemiology, University Hospital Zurich, and the Institute of Medical Virology at the University of Zurich. I will present to you a modeling study about HIV superinfections and Dolutegravir resistance in South Africa. What is HIV superinfection? It describes the reinfection of a person living with HIV by a phylogenetically distinct HIV strain. To date, superinfections are not well understood and their impact on the epidemiology of HIV remains uncertain. However, superinfections with a drug-resistant HIV strain may contribute to the emergence of drug resistance and may increase the risk of resistance-related treatment failure. To investigate this, we extended the MARISA model to include HIV superinfections. MARISA is a population-based compartmental model that models HIV epidemic in South Africa from 2005 to 2035 and was developed mostly by Anthony Hauser and Tom Loosli. You can see the schematic representation of the modeled care cascade and Dolutegravir drug-resistant mutation acquisition of MARISA in the figure. We modeled superinfection rates to depend on treatment status and resistance of resident and superinfecting HIV strain. Where for individuals off ART, no drug resistance was required for a superinfection. But for individuals on ART, we assumed superinfecting strains to be required to be resistant to the treatment. Further, we also assumed for people living with HIV with suppressed viremia that superinfection with a resistant strain result in treatment failure. In the study, we saw that the model outcomes align well with UNAIDS estimates. This you can see in the figure to the right of the slide. We found that the model predicts 1,430 HIV superinfections in 2035, which is indicated in figure A on the bottom. In figure B, we compared the superinfections to new HIV infections and found that HIV superinfections are rare in the model, with only 2.3% of HIV infections being superinfections of people living with HIV in 2035. Focusing on the modeled superinfections, we found that in 2035, 86.2% are predicted to result in the transmission of intermediate to high resistance to Dolutegravir. This you can see in the orange figure. The model further estimates that 1,170 treatment failures on Dolutegravir-based ART to be a consequence of a superinfection with a Dolutegravir-resistant HIV strain, which corresponds to 1.5% of all treatment failure episodes with intermediate or high Dolutegravir resistance on Dolutegravir-based ART to be due to HIV superinfections in 2035. Which you can see in the purple figure. In conclusion, we found that while HIV superinfections are rare compared to new HIV infections using the MARISA model, modeled superinfections commonly led to drug resistance and may affect HIV treatment outcomes at the individual level. However, the contribution to HIV superinfections to the prevalence of drug resistance and treatment failure at the population level is likely to be limited. With this, I'm concluding this short presentation and I would like to thank my co-authors. I would also like to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.